What if I told you that the spare change sitting in your drawer right now could be worth more than a brand new luxury car, or even a life-changing fortune? Every year, ordinary people discover rare US coins hiding in plain sight, coins that look completely normal, but are secretly worth thousands, even millions of dollars. Imagine this: you're sitting at your kitchen table, maybe with a cup of coffee in your hand, casually sorting through a jar of old coins you've ignored for years. Suddenly, one tiny detail catches your eye. A penny. Ordinary at first glance. But what if I told you that this very coin, this simple, overlooked piece of copper, could be worth up to $3 million? Yes, a single 1975 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark could quietly be sitting in your home right now, waiting to change your life forever. Now pause for a second and ask yourself, when was the last time you truly looked at your spare change? This is where our story begins. Act 1 draws you into a world most people never explore. The hidden universe of rare coins, where everyday objects transform into extraordinary treasures. The 1975 Lincoln penny without a mint mark is not just a coin, it's a mystery, a whisper from history, and potentially a golden ticket. Most people assume pennies are worthless, something to toss aside or leave forgotten in drawers. But collectors and serious investors know better. They understand that tiny details, errors, anomalies, rare conditions, can turn a 1-cent coin into a life-altering asset. So what makes this 1975 penny so special? Why are collectors willing to pay staggering sums for it? Here's where excitement builds. During the production process in 1975, certain pennies were struck under unusual circumstances. Some were minted without proper markings or featured subtle but critical errors. To the untrained eye, these differences are invisible. But to collectors, they are everything. The absence of a mint mark, combined with rare striking characteristics, creates a perfect storm of scarcity and demand. And when rarity meets demand in the coin world, prices don't just rise, they explode. Now think about this. How many times have you handled a penny without even glancing at it? How many opportunities have slipped through your fingers simply because you didn't know what to look for? This is not just about coins. It's about awareness. It's about seeing value where others see nothing. Act 2 is where things get intense. Imagine discovering that you've unknowingly been carrying thousands, or even millions, of dollars in your pocket. Sounds unbelievable, right? But stories like this are real. Ordinary people, just like you, have stumbled upon rare coins and turned them into fortunes. The 1975 no-mint mark penny has been the subject of intense interest among collectors, and examples in exceptional condition have reached astronomical valuations. But here's the truth most people ignore. Timing is everything. The market for rare coins is not static. It's alive. It's growing. And right now, there is a surge of demand from collectors across the United States who are actively searching for hidden gems. Auction houses, private collectors, and investors are all competing for the rarest pieces. That means if you have one of these coins, you are not just holding currency, you are holding leverage. Let me ask you something directly. Do you know how to sell old rare coins? Do you know where to go, who to trust, or how to get the maximum value? Because here's where many people make a costly mistake. They rush. They sell too quickly. They accept the first offer they receive without understanding the true worth of what they have. And just like that, they leave thousands, sometimes millions, on the table. But you don't have to be one of them. Imagine walking into a professional auction house, your coin carefully preserved, authenticated, and presented to serious buyers. The room is filled with anticipation. Bidding begins. Numbers climb higher and higher. Your heart races. And in that moment you realize, this small decision to pay attention has changed everything. Now let's reset for a second. Quick question. What if the next coin you check is the one? Yes, I'm serious. What if tonight, after this video, you go through your spare change and find something extraordinary? Would you recognize it? Would you know what to do next? This is where urgency comes in. Because opportunities like this don't wait. Coins get lost, spent, damaged, or overlooked every single day. The longer you wait, the higher the chance that a valuable coin slips away unnoticed. But the moment you start paying attention, everything changes. You begin to see possibilities where others see nothing. Act 3 brings everything together. This is not just about a 1975 penny. It's about transformation. It's about turning curiosity into knowledge, and knowledge into wealth. From pocket change to millions, that's not just a catchy phrase. It's a real pathway that begins with awareness and ends with action. So, how do you actually make money from coins? It starts with education. Learn what to look for. Study mint marks, errors, and conditions. Understand grading systems. Connect with reputable dealers and auction houses in the United States. And most importantly, never underestimate what you have. Every coin has a story, and some of those stories are worth fortunes. You might be wondering, how do I sell old and rare coins in the USA? Where do I even begin? The answer is simpler than you think. Start by getting your coin evaluated by a professional grading service. This establishes authenticity and condition, two factors that heavily influence value. From there, you can explore auctions, private sales, or certified dealers. The key is patience. The right buyer is out there, and when they see the right coin, they will pay the right price. Now imagine this scenario. You list your coin. Interest begins to build. Collectors take notice. Bidding starts. And suddenly, what was once just a forgotten penny becomes the center of attention. That moment, that transformation, is what this journey is all about. Let me ask you one final question. What's stopping you from checking your coins right now? Is it doubt? Is it uncertainty? Or is it simply habit? Because the truth is, the difference between those who discover life-changing opportunities and those who miss them often comes down to one simple action. Looking closer. So tonight, take a few minutes. Open that drawer. Pick up those coins. Look carefully. Because hidden among them could be a 1975 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin that carries not just value, but possibility. Imagine this. You're sitting at your kitchen table, absent-mindedly flipping through a handful of old coins you've seen 1,000 times before. But what if I told you that one of those ordinary-looking pennies could quietly be worth $3 million? Not a dream. Not a fantasy. A real possibility. Yes, today we're diving into the mysterious and incredibly valuable 1970 mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that has stunned collectors, shocked auction houses, and turned everyday people into overnight millionaires. And here's the question you need to ask yourself right now. What if you already have one? Let's begin. Back in 1970, the Denver Mint produced millions of Lincoln pennies. At first glance, they all looked the same, simple, copper coins featuring Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile. But hidden among them were rare error coins, subtle, almost invisible mistakes that transformed ordinary pennies into extraordinary treasures. Now pause for a second. Have you ever really looked closely at your pennies? Or do you just spend them without thinking? Because that's exactly how fortunes slip through people's fingers. The 1970 penny we're talking about isn't just any coin. It carries rare minting errors that collectors obsess over. Some of these errors include doubled dies, misaligned strikes, and unusual surface features that only a trained eye, or a very lucky one, can detect. And here's where things get exciting. When these errors appear in pristine condition, their value skyrockets beyond imagination. We're not talking about a few $100s. Not even thousands. We're talking about a coin that has reached a staggering value of $3 million in today's market under the right conditions. $3 million for a single penny. Let that sink in. Now imagine this scenario. You're cleaning out an old drawer. Maybe it belonged to your parents, or even your grandparents. You find a small jar filled with coins. You almost ignore it. But something tells you to take a closer look. And there it is, a 1970 penny staring back at you. Would you recognize it? Or would you unknowingly spend it on a cup of coffee? This is where knowledge becomes power and profit. Collectors across the United States are constantly searching for these rare coins. Auction houses are competing to secure them. And buyers are willing to pay life-changing amounts for the right piece. The demand is real. The urgency is real. And the opportunity is sitting quietly in pockets, jars, and forgotten boxes all across the country. So here's the question: how do you know if your coin is the one? Start by checking the date and the mint mark. Look for the small d under the year 1970. Then examine the coin carefully. Are there signs of doubling in the lettering? Does the design look slightly off? Is there anything unusual about its texture or alignment? And here's a funny thought: have you ever held $1,000,000 coin and didn't even know it? That's like sitting on a winning lottery ticket and using it as a bookmark. It sounds unbelievable, but it happens more often than you think. Now let's talk about something even more important. What do you do if you find one? Because finding the coin is only half the journey. The real transformation happens when you know how to sell it the right way. Have you ever wondered how people turn old coins into real money? Not pocket change, but serious, life-changing wealth? The answer lies in understanding the market. Professional coin dealers, certified grading services, and major auction houses are the key players. They determine authenticity, condition, and ultimately value. Getting your coin professionally graded is crucial. It's what separates a guess from a guarantee. And here's another question for you: would you sell $1,000,000 coin for a few $100s just because you didn't know its true value? That's the fear. That's the risk. But it's also avoidable. Once your coin is authenticated and graded, you can enter the world of high-end auctions. This is where collectors compete. This is where prices climb. This is where stories are made. Imagine watching your coin go up for auction, the bids rising, the tension building, until finally, the hammer falls at a price that changes your life forever. From pocket change to millions. This isn't just about coins. It's about opportunity. It's about seeing value where others see nothing. It's about asking the right questions. How do I sell old rare coins? Where can I sell coins in the United States? How do I make money from coins? Is it really possible to turn everyday change into extraordinary wealth? The answer to all of these questions is yes, if you know what to look for and how to act. And here's the urgency you can't ignore: every day, rare coins are being discovered. Every day, valuable pieces are being sold. And every day, people unknowingly spend coins that could have changed their lives. Don't let that be you. Take a moment today. Look through your coins. Check those old jars, drawers, and collections. Ask questions. Stay curious. Because the difference between ordinary and extraordinary often comes down to a single decision: to look closer. And remember this: the 1970 Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It's a symbol of hidden potential. A reminder that incredible value can exist in the most unexpected places. So the next time you hear that familiar clink of coins in your pocket, pause for a second. Imagine this for a moment. You're standing in your kitchen, absent-mindedly sorting through loose change, maybe a handful of pennies you almost ignored, and then suddenly, one coin stops you cold. Your heart skips. What if that ordinary-looking penny is not ordinary at all? What if it's the kind of coin collectors dream about? The kind that has quietly sold for as much as $7 million. Sounds impossible, right? Or is it? Because today, we're diving into one of the most intriguing and potentially life-changing coins in American history, the 1979 Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. A coin so common on the surface, yet hiding the possibility of extraordinary value due to rare and powerful minting errors. And here's the question that should already be echoing in your mind: what if you already have one? Let's begin where every great story begins, with something ordinary. The year is 1979. The Denver Mint is producing millions of Lincoln pennies, each bearing the iconic image of Abraham Lincoln. These coins were designed to be simple, everyday currency. Nothing flashy. Nothing rare, or so it seemed. But history has a way of hiding treasures in plain sight. And in the world of coin collecting, it's not always about the coin itself, it's about what went wrong when it was made. Now pause for a second. Have you ever looked closely at your pennies? Not just glanced, but really looked? Because the difference between a 1-cent coin and a multi-million-dollar discovery often comes down to a tiny detail, a subtle mistake, a minting error that most people would never notice. And this is where things get exciting. Among the 1979 Lincoln pennies, There are reports and collector whispers about extremely rare error coins, coins struck with doubled dies, off-center strikes, or even transitional metal compositions. These errors transform an ordinary penny into a collector's obsession. Why? Because rarity creates demand, and demand creates value. And when something is rare enough, the price can skyrocket beyond imagination. Now let me ask you something that might feel a little uncomfortable. How many coins have you already spent without checking? How many opportunities slipped through your fingers because you didn't know what to look for? Here's the truth most people don't realize. Valuable coins don't announce themselves. They don't glow. They don't come with a label saying, "I'm worth millions." They sit quietly, waiting for someone observant enough to recognize their true worth. And this is where your story could change. Because collectors across the United States are constantly searching for coins like this. Auction houses, private buyers, dealers, they are all asking the same question you should be asking right now. Where are these rare coins hiding? Could one be in your drawer? Your jar of spare change? That old piggy bank you haven't opened in years? Now let's turn up the urgency. The market for rare coins is not slowing down. In fact, it's accelerating. Wealthy collectors are willing to pay astonishing amounts for the right piece, especially one with a compelling story and verified rarity. A 1979 penny with a significant error could ignite bidding wars in major auctions. And yes, while $7 million represents the extreme high-end possibility tied to extraordinary rarity and condition, even lesser-known error versions can still command life-changing sums. So the real question becomes, are you ready to recognize the opportunity before someone else does? But wait. I know what you're thinking. How do you actually sell a coin like this? Where do you go? Who do you trust? And most importantly, how do you make sure you're getting the maximum value? Let's talk about that. Selling rare coins in the United States is both an art and a strategy. You don't just walk into the nearest shop and accept the first offer. That's like selling a diamond at a garage sale price. Instead, successful sellers follow a process. They get their coin authenticated by professional grading services. They research recent auction results. They connect with reputable dealers and auction houses. And here's a question you should seriously consider. Do you want a quick sale? Or do you want the highest possible price? Because those two outcomes are rarely the same. If your goal is to turn pocket change into millions, patience becomes your greatest ally. The most successful coin sellers understand timing. They know when to hold, and when to let the market compete for their treasure. Now imagine this scenario. You discover a 1979 penny with a visible doubling error. You send it for grading. Weeks later, it comes back confirmed, authentic, rare, desirable. Suddenly, collectors are interested. Offers start coming in. The numbers climb. And in that moment, you realize something powerful. This tiny coin has changed your financial future. Sounds like a dream? Maybe. But dreams have a funny way of becoming reality for those who take action. And let's not forget something important. Humor me for a second. If pennies are so worthless, why are millionaires chasing them? It's ironic, isn't it? The very coin people toss aside without thinking could be the one thing that transforms their life. Now let's bring everything together. We started with a simple idea, an ordinary penny. We uncovered the hidden world of mint errors. We explored the massive demand from collectors. And we revealed the pathway to turning a small discovery into a major financial opportunity. But the final step is yours. Will you check your coins tonight? Will you look closer? Will you ask the right questions and take the first step toward understanding what you might already have? Because here's the truth. The opportunity doesn't belong to the experts. It belongs to the observant. The curious. The ones willing to look twice when everyone else looks once. So let me leave you with this. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a simple penny, and realizing that you might be holding a life-changing fortune. Not someday. Not in theory. But right now. What if I told you that an ordinary-looking 1987 Lincoln 1-cent coin, yes, the kind most people ignore, could be worth up to $3 million? Sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? But stay with me, because by the end of this video, You may never look at your spare change the same way again. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at your coins? Not just glanced, but really examined them. What if the very thing you've been tossing into jars or leaving in your car cup holder is the key to unlocking a completely different life? A life of financial freedom, opportunity, and power. This is not just about coins. This is about awareness. This is about seeing what others overlook. Now picture this. It's a quiet evening. You're sorting through old belongings, maybe clearing out a drawer you haven't touched in years. Among receipts, keys, and forgotten memories, you find a small cluster of pennies. Most people would dismiss them instantly. But not you. Not anymore. Because today, you're learning what others don't know. The 1987 Lincoln 1-cent penny, particularly the version with no mint mark, holds a secret that has stunned collectors across the country. On the surface, it appears ordinary. The familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, the same copper tone, the same weight. But hidden within certain rare versions of this coin are minting errors. Tiny imperfections that transform a 1-cent coin into a multimillion-dollar treasure. And here's the twist. These errors are not always obvious. Some of the most valuable examples of the 1987 no-mint mark penny have been discovered with subtle doubling in the lettering, off-center strikes, or unusual die variations. These are the kinds of details that most people would never notice. But collectors? They hunt for these. They compete for these. They pay extraordinary amounts for these. So let me ask you, what if you've already had one of these coins in your possession? What if you spend it? Or worse, what if it's still sitting somewhere in your home, waiting for you to discover it? That thought alone should create a sense of urgency. Because every day, valuable coins are lost, spent, or forgotten simply because people don't know what they have. Now imagine the excitement of discovering one. Imagine holding a coin that could be worth $3 million. What would that mean for your life? Would you pay off your home? Travel the world? Secure your family's future? This is where things get real. Because finding the coin is only the beginning. The next question is the one that matters most. How do you actually turn that coin into money? How do you sell old rare coins in the United States? How do you make sure you're getting the true value and not being taken advantage of? How do you go from pocket change to millions? These are the questions that separate dreamers from achievers. First, you need knowledge. Knowledge is power in the coin market. Understanding what you have is the foundation. This means carefully examining your coin, comparing it with verified examples, and identifying any unique characteristics or errors. But here's something important. Never rush to sell. That's right. The biggest mistake people make is acting too quickly. They get excited, they hear a number, and they accept the first offer. But in the world of rare coins, patience can multiply your profit. So where do you go? Auction houses are one of the most powerful platforms for selling rare coins. They bring together serious collectors, people who are willing to pay premium prices for rare finds. When a coin like the 1987 no-mint mark era penny appears in an auction, it doesn't just sell, it creates a bidding war. And that's exactly what you want. Because competition drives value. The more people who want your coin, the higher the price climbs. But maybe you're wondering, can I sell it locally? Can I walk into a coin shop and get a fair price? The answer is yes, but with caution. Local coin shops can be a good starting point for evaluation. They can help you understand whether your coin has potential. But remember, many shops aim to buy low and sell high. That's their business model. So while they can offer convenience, they may not offer the maximum value. Now let's pause for a moment. Have you ever laughed at the idea of pennies being valuable? Be honest. Most people have. It's almost funny, isn't it? A single cent being worth millions? It sounds like a joke. But here's the reality. The coin market doesn't follow common logic. It follows rarity, demand, and condition. And that's why people who understand it are quietly building wealth. So ask yourself, are you paying attention now? Because the opportunity is real. Every coin you come across is a possibility. Every handful of change is a chance. And while not every penny will be worth millions, it only takes one. Just one to change everything. Now let's connect this back to you. You're not just watching this video for entertainment. You're here because you're curious. Because something inside you is asking, what if I have something valuable? What if I've been overlooking an opportunity? What if I could actually turn something small into something life-changing? These are powerful questions. And the answers begin with action. Start checking your coins. Look at the dates. Look for mint marks, or the absence of them. Study the details. Compare what you find with known rare variations. And most importantly, stay consistent. Because success in this space doesn't come from luck alone. It comes from awareness and persistence. Let me ask you another question. What would it feel like to discover that your ordinary penny is worth $3 million? Can you even imagine that moment? The disbelief. The excitement. The realization that everything just changed. That's the moment you're chasing. And it's closer than you think. So don't ignore your coins anymore. Don't underestimate their value. And don't assume that wealth only comes from big, obvious opportunities. Sometimes, it comes from the smallest things. A single penny. A simple mistake. A hidden detail that most people never see. And that's why this matters. Because while others are overlooking these coins, you're learning. You're paying attention. You're positioning yourself to see what others miss. And that's how fortunes are found. Right here. Right now. In your hands. So the next time you hear the sound of coins dropping into your pocket, don't ignore it. Listen closely. Because that sound might just be the beginning of something extraordinary. Imagine this. You're sitting at your kitchen table, casually flipping through a handful of coins you almost ignored, and then suddenly, one tiny detail stops you cold. Your heart skips. Could this ordinary-looking penny actually be worth millions? What if I told you that a 2014 D. Lincoln 1-cent penny, yes, a coin you might have passed 100 times, has been rumored in rare error form to command staggering attention, even reaching a jaw-dropping value of $7 million in elite collector circles? Now pause for a second. When was the last time you checked your spare change? This is not just about coins. This is about missed opportunities, hidden wealth, and the uncomfortable question, what if you've already held a fortune in your hands and let it go? The story begins with a simple coin, the 2014 D. Lincoln penny. Minted in Denver, millions of these coins entered circulation, blending quietly into everyday transactions. Coffee shops, grocery stores, parking meters. Nothing special, or so it seemed. But as seasoned collectors know, the real value of a coin is not in how many exist, but in the rare mistakes that slip through the cracks. And here's where things get interesting. Some of these pennies are believed to carry rare minting errors, subtle, almost invisible at first glance. A doubled die. A misalignment. A striking flaw that transforms a 1-cent coin into a collector's dream. Now imagine discovering that one of those errors, so rare, so elusive, could turn your life upside down financially. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt that quiet regret after throwing away something old, only to later realize it had value? That feeling, that what if, is exactly what drives the rare coin market. Collectors across the United States are constantly searching for these hidden gems. Auction houses, private dealers, online marketplaces, they are all fueled by one thing: scarcity. And when a coin like a rare 2014 D penny error surfaces, it doesn't just attract attention, it creates a frenzy. Now picture this: an ordinary individual, someone just like you, finds a peculiar penny in their change jar. At first, it looks slightly off. Maybe the lettering appears doubled. Maybe the image seems shifted. Curiosity kicks in. They research, compare, verify, and suddenly, they realize they are holding something extraordinary. What would you do in that moment? Would you ignore it? Or would you take action? Because here's the truth: opportunity rarely announces itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers through the smallest details. And that's exactly what makes this story powerful. The journey from pocket change to millions is not about luck alone. It's about awareness. It's about knowing what to look for and, more importantly, acting when you find it. So how do you actually turn an old coin into real money? That question alone has transformed lives. The process begins with recognition. You need to train your eye. Look closely at your coins. Examine the date, the mint mark, the design details. Does anything look unusual? Anything that feels just slightly off? Then comes validation. Professional grading services and coin experts can authenticate your find. This step is crucial, because in the world of rare coins, proof is everything. And finally, the moment of truth, selling. But where do you sell a rare coin? Auction houses are often the gateway to high-value sales. They connect your coin with serious collectors willing to compete for ownership. Online platforms also offer opportunities, but they require caution and knowledge. Coin shops provide quick access, but not always the highest return. So ask yourself, do you want a fast sale, or the maximum value? Because those are two very different paths. Now let's bring this back to you. How many coins have passed through your hands this year alone? Hundreds? Thousands? And how many did you actually examine? This is where most people fail. Not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack attention. And here's a little pattern interrupt for you. If pennies are so worthless, why are collectors willing to pay millions for one? Funny how perspective changes everything, isn't it? The truth is, value is not defined by face amount. It's defined by rarity, demand, and story. And a rare 2014 D penny with a unique era carries all three. Now imagine the ripple effect of finding such a coin. Debt disappears. Financial stress fades. Opportunities open. Dreams that once felt distant suddenly become possible. That's the emotional power behind this search. But there's also urgency. Because every day, these coins are being lost, spent, or overlooked. Every day, someone unknowingly gives away something valuable. And every day, someone else discovers what others missed. Which side of that equation do you want to be on? Let's take a moment to connect the dots. You started this video curious, maybe skeptical. A penny worth millions? It sounds unbelievable. But now, you understand the deeper truth. It's not about the coin alone, it's about the hidden potential in everyday life. And here's the twist. Even if you don't find a $7 million coin tomorrow, the act of searching changes you. It sharpens your awareness. It trains your mind to see value where others see nothing. And that mindset is priceless. So the next time you receive change, don't just toss it aside. Look at it. Study it. Question it.